So I picked up this ornament at a yard sale a couple years ago, and this past Christmas 2021, my daughter saw it and she said, "Mom, I want one of those," or "I want some of those," is what she said. And I knew I could make them, and so that's what I'm going to show you. I've never seen anything like this before. It's got a disc in the back, and I had a hard time finding these things. I just had to look until I found them, and I ended up with this, and it's quite smaller, and so the effect that I'm going to get is going to be a little different. But that, and I'm not going to be using 6mm beads right here and in the center. This one's made up of 6mm, and that looks like an 8mm right there, and then it's got the teardrop beads. And I'm not going to put tri-beads on the end. I'm just going to put one bead. Let's get started with this.
I'm starting out with 2 feet of wire, 30 gauge, and a beading disc, and I'm going to string on one 8mm pearl onto the wire, and then a 4mm gold bead. Now I'm taking the end of the wire and going back through the pearl, or the 8mm bead. Now I'm taking both strands of the wire and going through the very center hole of the beading disc, going from the front to the back, and then I'm going to separate the wire and pull it, making sure that it's really tight. And now I'm going to take one strand of the wire, and I will go through another hole on the next layer of the circular holes. You will be working from the inside of the disc towards the outside. String on an 8mm and then a 4mm bead, and then I will go back through the 8mm pearl, and then I will go back down the very same hole that I had went through. Now I'm pulling the wire from the back side, and as I'm doing this, I am holding on to the center bead, making sure that the center bead does not slide and shift. You will have to keep doing that throughout this part of the project. And then I'm going through the very next hole beside of the previous hole that I just worked on, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to go all the way around the disc. Here I am pulling through the last bead on this layer. And now I'm going to twist it off and clip the wire. And I'm just straightening up the 4mm beads so that they look nice. And now I'm clipping off approximately 3 feet of 30 gauge wire. This is a 16 by 8mm teardrop ivory bead. I'm stringing the wire through the small end of the teardrop bead, and then I'm stringing on a 4mm gold bead. Now I'm going to take the end of the wire and go back through the teardrop bead. And the teardrops are going to go on the next layer. Not the outside layer, but the next layer from the inside out. And both strands will go through the same hole from the front side of the disc to the back. And then I'll pull the wire. And then you will have to position the bead where you want it at. And then I'm going to separate the wire in the back and pull it so that it can be nice and tight. And now I'm taking one piece of the wire and I'm going through the next hole on that same layer. And then I'm going to string another pearl teardrop bead and another 4mm gold bead. And go back through the teardrop. And then I'll go back through the same hole. Pulling it tight. And I'm going to go all the way around that layer. And here I have went all the way around with the teardrop beads, and I'm going to twist it off and clip the ends. Okay, here is where I'm getting ready to do the beads that are hanging from the ornament so that they can hang right. It's recommended that you use some type of thread. I'm using dental floss, whatever kind of thread that you can get a hold of to use that is pretty strong. You could double up on regular sewing thread. Here I'm showing you how I make a needle for this. I'm just taking wire and making a needle with it and then I'm tying the dental floss around the wire. From the back to the front, I'm going through one of the outside layer holes. And then I am beading in this pattern. So I'm pushing it down close to the beading disc, and then I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go back up through the teardrop bead and the rest of the beads. I'll go through all of them except for the gold bead on the very end. Okay, I'm working the beads so that they will go up close to the beading disc. And now I'm going to tie it. Now I'm going to go through the next hole from the back of the disc to the front again. And the only difference between this pattern and the first pattern is there's an extra 8mm bead and an extra gold bead in there. Makes it slightly longer than the first one. Now I am tying this one off. And that's what you should have so far. Now I'm going through the next hole from the back side of the disc towards the front. And I'm going to string on my next strand, and this will have another extra bead and 4mm bead as well. So they're going to be hanging at an angle towards the center, and then they will angle back up. There'll be 5 strands hanging from the ornament. Tying this one off. So this strand has one less than the one before. So we're going to start having shorter strands now. Okay, we're doing the last strand now that is going to hang. There it is. Okay, tying off the last hanging strand. I'm going to put at least 3 knots in this last one. Here's some jewelry glue that I picked up at Walmart. And I'm just gluing the knot so that it doesn't come loose. And then I'm clipping off the ends of the dental floss. Here I'm clipping off some more 30 gauge wire, maybe about 2 feet. And all I'm doing is filling in the areas that appear to be bare and giving the ornament a gathered look. If you put on too many, then it doesn't look that good either. So I am just going through the spaces where it looks a little bare, and I am filling in the areas just to make the ornament, the teardrop beads, appear to be more gathered. At this point in the video, if you're still with me, you must be enjoying it. So I'm hoping that you'll hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. It sure would help me out. And here I am just finishing up the gathering, and I'm satisfied with how it looks. And so now I'm just going to twist it off and clip the ends. I'm clipping off about 1 foot of 30 gauge wire again, and I'm getting ready to create the hanger for the ornament. I've strung 25 4mm gold beads. Now I'm going to attach the hanger to the ornament. I'm just finding 2 holes where I can string the wire from the front side of the ornament to the back, and then I'm just going to twist it and clip the ends. Here I'm getting ready to put the 2 pieces together. I took 4 short pieces of wire and I strung them through 4 different holes on the outside layer of the beading disc. Now I am stringing the little wires through the consecutive holes on the other part of the ornament, and I'm going to leave them loosely. I'm not going to tighten them up at this time. Now I've got all of the strands through both pieces, and now I'm just going to tighten the wire so that the 2 pieces will come together. Now that I have worked the wire to where the pieces have come together, I'm twisting the wire and then I'm going to clip the ends. And it's my preference that I work the ends of the wire so that they're kind of hidden among the pearls. And here I have my completed little shabby chic ornament. And I hope you enjoyed my video. And I hope you subscribe to my channel and like the video. And I'll see you next Thursday. Bye-bye.